hope you're all doing well. Today's episode is going to be on vocabulary, and specifically I'm going to be unraveling some of my tricks to increasing my vocabulary with Spanish. But these will work for English as well. Now I understand that when it comes to vocabulary, there's a variety of methods that work for different people. So it's really, ultimately, just about choosing the one that works for you. But I'm going to be explaining the one that works for me. I've spoken to lots of people about this, English learners, my students, and other people as well. And honestly, whenever I meet anyone that says, for example, that they're on a 100-day streak on Duolingo, I think, okay, so you've learnt some of the really basic vocabulary, but you've also been learning things that might not be that useful. And this is basically where my approach stems from. And that is learning useful things. Things that you're interested in, things that are part of your daily life. That really should be where you start. And so things like Duolingo, they're better than nothing, for sure. But they are, I think after a while, you start learning the same words over and over again, and your progress starts to stagnate. It starts to plateau. And so, although I used Duolingo at the start of my journey of learning Spanish, I quickly grew tired of it and I started using other apps. Memorise, for example. Memorise is pretty good for a while. But again, you start learning the same things over and over again, and I understand that it's quite difficult to create an app that is tailored to your needs, as in it teaches you things that are useful for you personally. But that's why I've given up with those kinds of apps. I don't use Duolingo, I don't use anything of the sort, and I don't use Rosetta Stone, although I've heard very good things about Rosetta Stone. Instead, what I use is an app called Anki. Now, I've posted about this before, saying that I would make this video, so here it is. And I really cannot say enough good things about Anki. So to start off with, it's free. Now, this is a big plus because I know that there's lots of options out there that cost money, and because of how effective Anki is, it's just unbelievable that this kind of technology would be free of charge. And that's because the people running it are volunteers, and they say this on their website. They are interested in educating people, and I think they may be academics themselves. So they've made this application free, and despite the fact that it's free and they are volunteers, it works very well from my experience. The way that Anki works is that you either download a deck of vocabulary from the internet, or you create your own. So that means that you write in this case, the English word, and then you have the translation into your language on the other side, let's say, or in the other input box. And then when you go to revise these words, you have the option of clicking good, great, again, and bad. And when you click revise and you see the first word, if you remember what it means in your language, you click good or great. And then, using staged repetition, that means that you won't see the word again for, let's say, a week. Or if you've got it right consecutively every time you see it, basically, you'll see it less often. And the same works for if you don't know the word. So if you don't know the word, you see the English word and you can't remember the translation, you can click again, which means that you'll see it a few seconds later. And using this method, it helps you to memorize words very, very effectively. Albeit, it's a little bit boring, but it works. And I'm proof in itself. Within 2 years, my vocabulary in Spanish has increased tremendously. And I'm such a big fan of Anki that I've also got an Italian deck of vocabulary, an Arabic one. I've even got an English one as well. And that's because pretty much every time I pick up a book and I start to read, I'll come across at least one word that I've never seen before, or at least that I don't know the definition of. So I will add that to the English deck that I have, and I revise all of them every day if I can. And it takes me maybe 5 minutes or so to get through all of them, or maximum 10 minutes. I'd say with the Spanish deck that I've created, there's probably a few hundred words in there now. I've set the criteria at 50 words per day, So I won't see any more than 50 words per day, and that probably takes me maybe 3 or 4 minutes to get through each day. So it doesn't take much time at all. The only downside is it's not particularly interesting to do. You're basically just clicking, I know this word, I don't know this word, I don't remember this word, and then waiting for it to come back again. But for me personally, my brain must be wired to respond well to this because, like I said, my vocabulary in Spanish has increased enormously. And I have no doubt at all that I could not have got this far, this quickly, without Anki. It's a godsend. It's one of the best language learning resources that I've found since I started learning Spanish. The other thing is YouTube. The other best thing that I've been using is YouTube. I've been following a few different channels to practice my Spanish, especially my Spanish listening. Yeah, I can't recommend highly enough YouTube and Anki. I am going to put a link in the bio for you to download Anki, and I'm going to put some tips as well into how you can generate a word deck that suits your needs. But I may as well explain that now too. It's essentially down to reading, at least to start off with. So whenever I picked up a book and I came across words that I didn't know, I would underline them in red, and then I would keep reading. And then when I'd finished the chapter, or if I was done reading, I would add all of those words to a notebook, and then from the notebook I would add those words to the deck, to Anki. So then I was learning words that I knew would be useful later on when I was reading the rest of the book, because it tends to be the case that words that you don't know that you're reading will come up a few times in the same book. Another thing that I've started doing recently is watching series in Spanish. And I've been watching this series One Piece on Netflix. Whenever I see a word that I don't know in the subtitles, or whenever I hear a word that I don't know in the audio, I pause the episode and I add that word to a website called deepl.com, and I'll post that in the bio. The thing with DeepL is that you have a list of these Spanish words that you've input into one side of the website, and then there's the English translation next to them. And so the same again really, I just input all of those words into the Anki deck in Spanish first, and then I have the English translation underneath. And yeah, essentially that's how I've built up the deck that I have. Occasionally, if I'm having a conversation and I can't think of a word, or if I hear someone else say a word that I don't know of, I'll write it in my notes on my phone, and then later I'll look through my notes and I'll add those to the Anki deck as well. For individual words, wordreference.com is the best website that I've found so far. That gives the best definitions, and it also gives you other things like phrases that the word is included in. So there's a combination of things there that I've given you. So wordreference.com, Anki, deepl.com, and YouTube. Those are the best things that I've found so far. But like I said at the start of this video, it's really all down to you. So if you know that a certain method works best for you, then I would definitely just go for that. If you know that having classes and grammar lessons is the best way that you're going to learn vocabulary and learn a language, then go for it. If you know that just having conversation practice is going to help you to learn words, arguably that's the most natural way, go for it. If you like the sound of my technique, please give it a try and let me know how it goes. If you think I've missed anything as well, please let me know. Put it in the comments section. I would love to find a new method that works even better for me. So if you do have any ideas, or if you know that something works well for you, then please let me know in the comments section or send me a message on Instagram. One final thing before I go. I want to show you this wonderful forest that I have all around me. So I'm currently near to a place called Cerro de la Cruz, which is in the north of Antigua in Guatemala. I think the majority of the trees in this forest are pine, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's really such a peaceful place. I need to start coming here more often. I grew up in a small town close to London, but it was just far away enough for it to be in the countryside. So I basically grew up with forests all around me, fields, animals, etc. So being in this kind of environment feels very natural for me. And it does remind me of home actually. I've been feeling a little bit homesick recently, but being in places like this certainly helps with that. But besides that, good luck. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you all soon.